service boundary on Lithia Pinecrest. So if you want to get your property developed, ma'am, you better get it before this board, okay? Because as your next county commissioner, the line will be drawn with those kind of projects.
Thank you, Mark. Ray?
Okay, I have to say, I worked on the urban service area back in 1992 with Commissioner Franchek to even get that done, and it was not easy. We need to respect that. If you're coming in with a rezoning and you're going higher than the plan allows, you're not going to get it. I think we should be extremely careful about changing the urban service area. It's actually held pretty well for 20 years, but it wasn't an easy thing to do, and that's what makes us different than a place like Orlando, which is much more sprawled out actually than Tampa is. So I'm a big believer in the urban service area and supporting that concept.
Thank you, Ray. Next, identify.
Carl Zalanka. Nothing is talked about more than transportation. What is your plan to alleviate our transportation problems? And if you don't have a plan, why not? And if you don't have a plan, why are you running for county commissioner?
Okay, Ray, I think you still have the microphone, so I'll give you the first shot. We'll go back
Very
up.
quickly, I think we need to work with other agencies like FDOT. We have a chance now to preserve space in the interstate modernization for transit. We need not to lose that opportunity. We need to be looking at more long-term issues like CSX and other assets that we have here. We can't just copy another city. Whether we like it or not, we have Tampa Bay in the center of our metro area. That changes the kind of transit that you need. So you need to look at that. Our local transit really needs a shot in the arm. We have the lowest of any of the top 20 metro areas in per capita spending on transit at like about $50-some. Other cities have $150 or even $300 per person. We need to look at that because we need to give people choices. If you don't have a car in this community, you're not going very far to be able to get to work, and it limits your opportunities, so we need to address that.
So name me a global world-class city that doesn't have all the transit options. Anybody? Raise their hand, right? So what is it that we want to become here? We have a great airport. We have an important port, an economic instrument for our community. Cultural amenities. We're a major league sports town. We need to look a little bit more major league when it comes to transportation. And it's not one solution over another. It's really yes to everything. We need bus rapid transit. We need to start a rail line here. We need to fix our roads. We have a $12 to $15 billion of unfunded local road needs. That was billion with a B. So we're in a bad spot. I mentioned 2 million people here as early as 2030. That's another 1.5 million to 2 million regionally. And if you're going to move it around and about in Tampa Bay, you have to come through Hillsborough County, east and west, or north and south. So it is that moment in time when we finally decide if we're going to grow up and be the best community that we can, and transit has to be a part of that answer.
Thank you, Mark.
I actually do have a plan. There is a referendum right now to ask people to put on a petition the penny tax, which is nobody ever wants to pay for tax, but we are so backlogged in developing a grid of transit in our community that it's going to be difficult to actually catch up without a shot in the arm. The best solution, I'm not sure how to fund that other than maybe using the sales tax, but there are other ways. You have to have a grid of the bus. We have to participate in the regional transit program among all the regions, but as a catalyst to having a grid inside of Hillsborough County. If you don't have a car in Hillsborough County, you're no longer fully employable, and your job can't be actually met. So we have to be competitive, and we have to use the resources appropriately in the right order in order to be able to make sure that our transportation works. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Sky?
My plan for transportation is to make sure that it's innovative and inclusive. Not just BRT or somewhat of a BRT, not just light rail, but we also need a transportation plan that's safe for our pedestrians and safe for our bicyclers. Like proper lighting for streets, wider lanes for bike safety. In addition to that, urban sprawl has made us car dependent, which is why we definitely need some sort of mass transit to get us from point A to point B. Most of us, for example, me, I live in Riverview, my son goes to school in West Tampa, but I work in New Tampa. I'm car dependent, so I'm spending 2 hours on the road in the morning and then 2 hours on the road in the evening. Our plan has to be inclusive, not just taking cars off the roads, but to also be safe for pedestrians and for bicyclists as well.
Listening to Mr. Nash, I thought I was watching the Oprah. You get a car, you get a car. I mean, the issue is, yeah, that's great, and I agree with him. We need a lot of these things, but how are we going to pay for it? And that's the reality. That's the hard reality no one wants to hear. He's rolling his eyes, you know, because there is a budget crisis coming. We live in Florida. We're used to warning people about hurricanes. I mean, we've got homestead exemption doubling. We've got CIT expiring. We've got a lot of financial needs. So right now, what are we going to do? Reprioritize to certain crisis points. There's intersection improvements or common sense improvements that can help alleviate in the short run. But look how long it's taking to get the Citrus Park expansion done. How many years, Mr. Adderhold? Like over 50?
15, exactly.
Yeah, so now it's at the final stages with the Army Corps of Engineers, but that's just one simple problem. And it's not just a local problem. There's many agencies, and the $12 billion that he's talking about, that's not just the county's share. We're talking about federal, state. It's not just $12 billion in unfunded counties, so let's be clear about that.
Thank you, Todd. Aakash.
As I've been knocking on doors every day, the #1 issue I hear from voters, whether it's Sun City Center or yesterday was Carrollwood, is transportation. We need an affordable, feasible solution. I look at every day I get stuck behind a bus. I mean, all the time. I'm sure everyone's been stuck in a hard bus. We need dedicated bus lanes that's affordable and feasible. Carpool lanes. High-octane vehicle lanes work in states like California when they have 8 lanes. It can work here in Florida. We have that in our budget. We've not prioritized. It's doable. The other thing is, when I work in business, we work to make solutions with the private sector. Public-private partnerships work. The governor really recently announced that Brightline was interested in doing a high-speed rail from Tampa to Orlando. That's great. We don't have to pay for it. That is what we need, is a private sector company coming in, creating jobs, and helping our community get to where we need to go faster. Thank you.
Okay, we have our esteemed resident lobbyists who work for the city of Tampa, University of South Florida, and a former president of Tiger Bank, Kathy Beck.
Thank you. This is not going to be a winner, but it's an important question. This week, the people of this community lost 2 beautiful public servants, Ross Ferlita, Dave Parkinson. Behind the scene guys, people who did work for the people in this community. There are a lot of wonderful professionals at the county. What are you going to do to help your county employees who are professionals feel valued?
Great
Thank you,
question.
Kathy. Aakash, you have the mic, so we'll start with you and go down.
I didn't know that, Kathy. Thank you for sharing. Communications, right? That's my business. I think one of the things that any employee, if you're in HR or whatever you're in, people want to feel respected. They want to feel loved. They want to feel that they are important. And I think we need to communicate with our employees, whether it's hosting a town hall or luncheon with all your employees once a month in one part of the county. So I'll do a East Hillsborough Day, or I'll do a Citrus Park Day, I'll do a Brandon Day, making sure the employees feel valued, because that, you're right, they are no matter what. We have term limits. Elected officials have term limits. When you have term limits, that means you're going to get. But the staff stays through, and then they are most important, and they have intellectual knowledge, and I appreciate them, and I want to value them, and I will communicate with them. Thank you, Kathy.
Todd.
As a business owner, it's vital to invest in human capital and make employees feel appreciated and understood, not just through pay, but also including them in part of the process and asking for their solutions and what makes the process better for the citizens. I will say, working with the county over the years, I've experienced a great improvement. Some friends of mine, John Walker and the Planning Commission, and the ideas that they put together with the group activities to help it make it easier for the private sector to interact has been fantastic, and he's always been a good example for me. But I believe that's important to continue that, not just with the employees, but with also the stakeholders, because I'm getting the sense in the community that people are involved in the process and they want to be heard, because they can also share about how to make things more efficient and effective. So I think that should be a focus for the commission, for staff, but also for stakeholders, and just bring the community together to make government more effective for each side of the equation.
Sky.
As a nurse, one thing that we're very compassionate people, and we love people. We love people. And also as an employee and as an organizer of a nonprofit, I always want people to feel as if we're trying our hardest. I don't want them to feel that we're judging them. I want them to understand that we appreciate everything that they do. Even with my supporters, if you're giving $2, $3, I appreciate it. And I think that's the big thing that we have to do with our employees, understand that they can work anywhere, but they chose to work with us. And we have to let them know that we appreciate their time by, even if it's taking them out to coffee, doing birthday rallies is what we do at our job, but they have to feel appreciated. We have to show them that.
Kim?
I think one of the best benefits of actually having a workflow or working a process where employees are found in a position where they're best suited to be is that it gives them the opportunity to shine. It also gives us an opportunity as the decision makers in a lot of policy to adopt trust with the staff that is making those decisions. We need to do that in our school systems, we need to do it in our planning departments, we need to do it in all of our departments. Good example is code enforcement. We have code enforcement individuals that go out and actually notify citizens that they're breaking the rules, and yet necessarily they don't get a chance to actually have teeth to actually have those rules enforced. That becomes very frustrating. So we have to actually develop processes to be able to thank employees for doing the great job that they do, keep them incentivized for continuing to do a great job so that both the employees feel good about what they're doing and the citizens are appreciative of those services, but then also just to say thank you and to honor those that have served so valiantly in the effort to serve our citizens, and thank you.
Let's get Mark.
Thanks for the question, Kathy. Obviously, people power is important. Whether you own a small law firm, or you have a business, or you run a school, you've got to incentivize and motivate your people to perform at the top level. That at the county center is under the umbrella of the county administrator. So it's important that we make sure that the county administrator's plan for how he is executing the internal workings of the building are functioning properly. Of course, that's under the oversight of the county commission. The tax question, or the dollar question, Adam Bantner, I want to go back to that for just a moment. You all realize we have a property tax amendment on our ballot statewide that will starve and rob cities, counties of tax dollars. They're going to basically disrupt all of the $820 million that were set aside when the county couldn't let Hillsborough go forward. They created a program, an incentive of $800+ million that will disappear if those tax dollars go away. So we, again, critical time, got to make smart choices, and our dollars are limited.
Thank you, Ray.
The first thing I did when I became executive director of the Planning Commission, staff of 42, was say that I was going to interview each person for an hour and find out what their passion was, what they were interested in. After I got into it, I thought, oh my God, why did I do this? Well, I just took over this agency. But it was the greatest thing I ever did, because I found out things about people that I had no idea about their background. It's getting the right people on the bus and then getting them in the right seats on the bus that they're going to do the best. The other thing is to know that I have their back. I want them to go out on a limb, and if they go too far out, I'll tell them. But I'm not going to get mad at them for going to the edge. And when people do what they love, they will do a good job in the long run. They'll feel fulfilled. And I think the staff at the Planning Commission has always been a great staff to work with, and they've done a lot of good for this community. But giving them the power to do that is so important with your employees.
Thank you, Ray. I want to recognize a couple people that came late. Matt, who's one of our board members, Matt Dersheimer, and we have two candidates here, Jared Smith, who's running for judge, and Jose Vasquez, who's running for State House. Thank you for coming. So, Joe, you're next.
Joseph Citro. Let's get back to transportation for 1 second. Kimberly, you mentioned a referendum, a petition for a referendum. I want to know, did all of you up there, did you sign it? And if you did, was there anything you didn't like about it? And if you didn't sign it, why didn't you?
Interesting question. Who's got the mic? Okay, Ray, you got the mic?
Okay, yes, I absolutely signed it because I'm a planner and I love data, and even if it doesn't pass, I want to find out why it didn't pass and how we can fix it to do it again. It came up a little fast. It might not have been exactly what I wanted, but it had the right components that you could work with. to get something done. I would have maybe rather seen them work with the school board and do more of a joint thing, but we'll see what happens. I think we should always give people the right to vote.